Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to Press Pause today. We appreciate you guys checking out the video. Aurora and I are back. We're back here ready to do some videos, excited. I know it's been about 3 years now since we did our last video, and even though we weren't producing content, we have continued to grow our subscriber base. So it's been very interesting to see. I don't really understand exactly why that happens, but people are still finding the videos and we really appreciate that. So Aurora and I are ready to get back to it. After we went through some personal challenges in our lives, but our family has grown. We have our son and our daughter now, and we have our little fur baby still, Aurora. She's doing great, and she has been working really hard to get the new studio up and running. So she is very tired, so she will be taking a break on today's video, but she did want to say hello to everybody. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we'll mention to you guys, we are official Disney travel agents. We specialize in Universal, Royal Caribbean, Carnival Cruise Line, Sandals Resort. So reach out to us. We'd love to help you guys book your next set of magical memories here, and it would go a long way to help support the channel as well as our family, which has grown. If you guys can, please like, share, and subscribe to the video. Feel free to, send some referrals to your friends to like, share, and subscribe to the video. It would help support the channel and help support our family. But let's talk about what we're going to get into today. We are going to be getting into Jurassic Park and going to be talking about the genetics of Jurassic Park, okay? Jurassic Park is built on genetics. It's built on DNA. Mr. DNA tells us that in the first movie, and we're going to talk all about it and see what in Jurassic Park is true and what in Jurassic Park is not true. So we're going to talk about, the things that are possible in real world, what are not possible, and the things that, interestingly enough, are pretty accurate inside the movies that you probably wouldn't think of, because we've been through a lot of genetic things over the last 2 or 3 years with our kids, and we'll get into that here shortly. Thank you guys. Hey everybody, again, we are happy to be back here on the channel talking about Jurassic Park. It's one of our favorite topics, one of our favorite film franchises that we're going to be talking about here. Aurora is taking a break, but thank you guys so much for tuning in today. As far as Jurassic Park and what we're here to talk about, it's going to be the genetics of Jurassic Park. Henry Wu is the main scientist when it comes to genetics in Jurassic Park, the father of genetics, he would probably call himself. But there's some really interesting concepts in this, because does it mean that we can clone dinosaurs in today's world? No, we can't. But there's different things that are real and true to genetics when it comes to Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World franchise. So we're going to get into that and talk about it. Now, the reason this is close to home for us, as I mentioned, over the last about 3 years now, we had our children, our twins, and they suffer from a mild form of brittle bone disease and a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, okay, EDS for short. Those conditions that we found early on, what happens with children that have these conditions, their parents are often accused of harming their children, right? It's just something that is a rite of passage when they have this condition. There's various groups online like OI families, so osteogenesis brittle bone disease families, that will tell you they just go through it. That's just something that happens. And so you're usually accused of something like that because the hospitals are not doing their due diligence sometimes. And we found out early on it was really hard with our hospital because they didn't want to do the proper testing. It took over 1.5 years to get that done, and we found out that they did have genetic markers there that showed what conditions they had underlying there. So our family was torn apart. We were separated for a while, but we are back together, reunited, and it's been fantastic. I celebrated my first birthday party with my children this year, and it's just been amazing, right? So we're looking to go to Disney pretty soon, take our first trip out there, which is going to be fantastic for the twins. Super excited about that. And again, if you guys want, please reach out to us. We'd love to help you book your next set of magical memories, as we are going to be making some of our own this year. Talking about this, how does this relate to Jurassic Park? Well, it's actually pretty interesting. the genetics of Jurassic Park, while some of it may be pretty far-fetched, and it is a movie franchise, obviously everything's not going to be textbook and true to the real world, but there are some things very interestingly that do fit with reality and what really goes on with genetics. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, wrap it into the film franchise, and let you guys know what's real, what's not when it comes to this. Now, obviously, this is a film franchise. They can create their own rules, their own genetic components in that reality, right? But when it comes to the real world and what we're talking about today, most people associate Jurassic Park with our own reality and the things that are happening there. So the first off thing we're going to talk about, in the original movie, we're talking about Mr. DNA, our old friend Mr. DNA. We love Mr. DNA. Mr. DNA will tell us, first off, before we talk to Mr. DNA, what is genetics? Genetics is the study of how traits and conditions are passed through DNA. And like Mr. DNA mentions,
a DNA strand, like me, is a blueprint for building a living thing.
Exactly. The building blocks of life, okay? So the building blocks of life, the things we use to make a living thing. That's what Mr. DNA tells us. Now, it's really interesting here because it does build our entire body, which is DNA. The thing is, just like building a tower like Jenga, you mess up one of those tiles, it becomes less stable, right? Just like our bodies become less stable when there's a genetic mutation out there. Now, next we learn from Mr. DNA the dinosaur DNA from Jurassic Park and how it's obtained. Very interesting here, interesting concept. I know back in the day this is something that was probably thought to be true, that you take a mosquito lands on the branch of a tree after taking the blood of a dinosaur and it develops into sap. But over time, that sap hardens and becomes fossilized as amber, and then we can extract the preserved blood. This is false. Just to tell you guys, this is not possible. It would not happen. The degradation that would happen to the blood, the DNA, over millions of years, there's no way this would be a viable specimen for cloning. There's no way that this would be something that we could use as a substantial piece of DNA for these dinosaurs. It's just not possible. So very interesting concept, very cool here. But even when we see today's world, when we go back and look at old cases of murders and things like that in the past, if we go back and look at some police reports and some police investigations, there's times where DNA has degraded so much where they can't even process that. They can't even get accurate DNA samples from crime scenes. And so this is something that over millions of years, of course, this would degrade to the point where it's not possible anymore, okay? Does this mean that there's nothing accurate in Jurassic Park comes genetics? No. There's some really interesting things here and we're gonna talk about it, okay? Now, something Michael Crichton did in the books, okay, wasn't necessarily translated all the way into the movie franchise, but there were some nuggets about this, which is the dinosaurs not being healthy, okay? And we learned this firsthand with our kids. When they have their genetic mutations and the genetic components of what their conditions are, it affects the entire body. Just like a Jenga tower. If you mess up one little piece, the entire structure is now unsupported, not just that one level, okay? So because of that, it affects every part of the body. Our kids, for example, they have cardiac issues with their heart. They have GI issues within their stomach and digestive system. They have to have different supports for their ankles and bone structures and things like that. So it's not just the bones and connective tissue, it's everything that gets affected by connective tissue because that helps build the body. Connective tissue is like the DNA for the body structure. It helps to provide the structure for the body. When that breaks down, it affects it. Same thing with a lot of genetic components we see here in Jurassic Park. So, like I said, Michael Crichton in the book had some nuggets in there about sick dinosaurs not doing well. They didn't live very long, and that is something that is somewhat highlighted in the movies, but they didn't really touch on it too much. We look at the Brachiosaurus. Brachiosaurus sneezed on Lex, right? It had a cold. Why did it have a cold? Well, very interestingly, with our kids, because of their conditions, they have a high likelihood of respiratory infections. They have a high likelihood of ear infections. These are things that affects the sinus system, okay? And you're vulnerable to attack from infections. Very similar to what we see here with the dinosaurs, the Brachiosaurus. We also see the sick Triceratops. Now, while our kids did not eat poison berries, such as the Triceratops did in the movie, it is interesting because our kids have GI issues as well. Both of them have a condition called gastroparesis. This causes a lot of issues within the stomach and the digestive process. Now, the trike, it may have been due to the poison berries and things like that, but this is something that could be a genetic complication as well. GI issues could happen to these dinosaurs and it would shorten their lifespan, okay? So very interesting that we do have a couple of these nuggets of the, abnormalities that happen, right? The breakdowns within the body system to fight off infections and fight off disease. Now, the other thing is the T-Rex could only see, movement. Now, obviously, this was something based on old research that is outdated now when we did believe that. But in the universe, they could, and they should have, actually came forward and said that this is something that actually happened because of the frog DNA that they used in the T-Rex, because there are some frogs that have motion-based movement. So there's some interesting things there that could make some sense, but they did not do that, I understand. But it is a genetic component that could be based of reality, okay? Now, what does this mean? Is it true, that these things are all facts in Jurassic Park? Well, it's not all facts, everything is variable, okay? And what we learn about here, and talking about Dr. Henry Wu, like we said, he would probably call himself the father of genetics when it comes to Jurassic Park world. There's a lot of genetic components, a lot of things within genetics that is still being found today, okay? Even just this year, a new article came out from Russia, and it actually talks about the exact type of mutation that my kids have. A lot of doctors, a lot of medical professionals still believe that a heterozygous gene mutation, which is one allele, there's two alleles that go on the double helix and things of the genes. One allele mutation cannot cause disease. There's multiple conditions where this has been proven to be false. And doctors will sit and say, and medical professionals will say, well, until we find specifically that gene, a single mutation causes it, we're not going to say it's possible. It is possible. Until we rule it out, it's not possible, right? And so the thing is that even medical professionals today get this wrong. Medical professionals out there will think that they understand genetics and they know it enough based on high school level biology class, because high school level biology class says you have to have a double mutation when it comes to recessive forms of things. I'm not going to get into the whole jargon of that, but that is something that we do learn in high school biology. This is something that in the Jurassic Park universe, it actually makes a lot of sense that these dinosaurs would be affected by these things, because just like Dr. Henry Wu did, he did not expect some of these things, right? He sits there and he questions Dr. Malcolm, okay?
Composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No.
He says, so you think that a park composed of entirely female animals will breed? That is something that's very interesting that he says, because he thinks that he knows genetics enough to stop this possibility. But the genetic encoding, the splicing that he did, creates a mutation. Anytime there is a gene that is in a place that's not supposed to be there, like a gene from another species or another animal, which is what they had to do to create the dinosaurs. When they did this, they're creating a mutation. And because of that, as I've seen with my children, it affects the entire body. It affects things you wouldn't think about. And we're never gonna know everything about it until maybe hundreds of years from now. Everything about genetics that's really out there. Because there's so much that can change, just like the Jenga board. When you change the one piece on the bottom, the whole structure is completely faulty now, right? So this is very interesting, because Henry Wu thinks that he knows if I just disable this one component, they cannot become male. Well, he forgot understanding that the one piece of DNA that you put in, that you're splicing in from the frog DNA, actually allows them to have variables that you cannot account for, okay? Now, he is very arrogant, just like a lot of doctors, medical professionals today. They're very arrogant in thinking that they understand every piece of this. Now, the ones that are on the forefront of genetics, the forefront of the field, and researching and understanding the daily updates on this, they know that we can't say things without a doubt. We can't say that we 100% know, because there's so much in genetics we still do not know. But Henry Wu's arrogance caused him to believe a lower level understanding of genetics as to be fact. This allowed him to not understand the unstable immune system within these dinosaurs. That's why we see dinosaurs get sick. That's why we see this happening in Jurassic Park. We have these things that are breaking down within the dinosaurs, and that's the reason why, okay? Interestingly enough, if you look at two of the hybrid dinosaurs that he created, hybrid dinosaurs are even more genetically modified, okay? We see something very interesting here. in the D-Rex, which is from Jurassic World Rebirth, the latest rendition of the series, as well as the Scorpius Rex, which is from the Netflix show Camp Cretaceous, which is an amazing show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Even if you don't like animated stuff, but you like Jurassic Park, it's a great show to check out. Now, the Scorpius Rex and the D-Rex, both of them suffer from a genetic abnormality that comes with a known medical conditions, right? Known genetic conditions, and this is brachiocephaly. Brachiocephaly is something that, for the most part, when you want to think of brachiocephaly, this is something that if you look at someone and you want to know if they have, brachiocephaly, the main thing that you're going to see is the lack of an extended nose, okay? The lack of the extended nose is something that you're going to see. Now, this is something that you'll see in pug dogs. Pugs are actually bred, and throughout the years of breeding, there's genetic abnormalities that have caused brachiocephaly in them. That's why a lot of them wheeze, a lot of them have some trouble breathing, and that is something that does occur very common with pug dogs, because they have the smushed in nose on their face, right? Is brachiocephaly. Now, brachiocephaly, that condition will cause this. Now, the Scorpius Rex and the D-Rex both have this. You can see it pushed in. A very common and known condition that would be comparison to this, that we do see brachiocephaly emerging from a physical trait standpoint, would be Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a condition that would cause this abnormality within the facial structure, okay? So it's very interesting that these two creatures, which were genetically modified more than some of the other dinosaurs, got this physical abnormality that came with it, okay? Very interesting, because it's actually true to reality that when you do more changes and more mutations to the genetic makeup, you're gonna see something like this, okay? The other thing that's very interesting here is the D-Rex itself, because the D-Rex has that big bulbous spot on its head. This is known as hydrocephaly. Hydrocephalus is a condition that is associated with numerous genetic origins, okay? There are plenty of genetic conditions that can cause hydrocephaly. There's also other conditions that are not genetic that can cause hydrocephaly. But, the splicing and altering of these creatures and their genetic makeup can actually be an accurate depiction of what would happen. These physical abnormalities would occur, something that you wouldn't expect, because we want something, and Henry Wu explained this multiple times, they want something that looks nice, pretty. It has to look good for the people in Jurassic Park. And these creatures did not look that way because they went way too far with changing the DNA and altering it, okay? Now, Dr. Henry Wu is not necessarily only arrogant throughout this, okay? He definitely has some times where he shows some humility. And one of the things is when he shows humility in Jurassic World, when Simon Masrani is telling him about the Indominus Rex, okay?
It hid from thermal technology. Really?
When Simon Masrani talks about the Indominus Rex, they are sitting there and they're talking about how it hid itself from infrared cameras. Well, that's very interesting, because the thermal signature can change based on the tree frog DNA that he put in there. And he was very surprised by this. He was very surprised that this was something that could happen. And he said that he never thought this would be a possibility.
Adapted to a tropical climate, but I never imagined.
Who authorized you to do this?
So Dr. Henry Wu did not think this is something that would be possible. He never imagined that this would be the thing. But again, he thought he knew what to do. He thought he knew and understood every bit of genetics where he could do this. He could take pieces of different puzzles and put it together. But there's gonna be abnormalities. There's gonna be something that's wrong, right? So it's very interesting to see this here. He did show some abnormality, or he did show some humility when he said, I never expected this to happen. That's him realizing, okay, maybe I don't know it all, okay? But he does show arrogance right afterward, because he says,
all of this exists because of me.
all of this exists because of him. Later, he also continues to go on and say,
if I don't innovate, somebody else will.
if I don't innovate, someone else will. This is very interesting, because this is exactly how medical professionals are today. If they don't sit and stay firm in what they believe, even though it could change in the future, even though they could be wrong in the future, they would rather sit there and say, no, I absolutely know this, I'm the expert, yada, yada, yada. Instead of saying, we don't 100% know, okay? This could be possible, but we don't know 100%. They don't want to do that because other doctors are going to sit there and show arrogance and say that they do know it all. And then they're elevated now above those ones who are willing to admit we don't know it all, okay? So it's very interesting because it's a big mistake that we see even medical professionals today make when it comes to genetics and comes to genetic makeup. Very interesting here when you look at the Jurassic Park franchise. Taking all of this and putting it into a quick summary, okay? We have pieces of Jurassic Park that from a genetic standpoint, from a DNA cloning standpoint, absolutely not possible, right? Getting the DNA from that amber sample from millions of years ago, the degradation of the DNA would absolutely not cause this to be possible. However, should there be situations that can create cloning of animals in different species, a lot of the things we see are actually very accurate to what we would see today. When you are creating mutations, you are splicing things into dinosaurs, into animals, whatever it is. There's going to be things that cause the immune system to break down. There's going to be irregularities causing sickness, like the Brachiosaurus, Triceratops, and things that we saw. We're also going to see physical trait mutations, just like the D-Rex and the Scorpius Rex. Those things are going to happen, and it does show some level of education and some level of understanding within genetics by the writers, the directors of the films, to know that these are things that we should put in there. They're cute little nuggets that do show, hey, this is something that is in real life. This is something that would occur if this did actually happen. So some understanding there, some reality, but we're not going to see dinosaurs recreated in this way by using the DNA in amber, okay? Just not possible. So, you know, the other thing Dr. Henry Wu said, and we'll leave you with this, is where he says,
You are acting like we are engaged in some kind of mad science.
so he acts like this is, you know, kind of mad science. And to him, it's not. We're just understanding this. We're just doing it because we need to, because we're being told to do it. This is something we've always done. Well, just because we've always done it doesn't mean it's right. And when you hurt and damage people, people in the parks get hurt. This is how he justifies what he's done. This is how he justifies what he's done out there. If I don't do this, someone else will. This is not mad science. This is how we've always done it. But there are better ways to do it. And as we grow and develop, we need to change those ways and make it easier and better and make sure that people aren't harmed in our science and in our research and what we do out there, right? So whether it's dinosaurs being hurt, whether it's families being pulled apart, we need to stop doing that, right? So it's really interesting to see the concepts of this reality to the Jurassic Park world and to the real world today. Rest assured, if you're curious, my twins, they're diagnosed by Shriners Hospital. They're being taken care of there by orthopedic specialists. We have genetic doctors in the area taking care of them. They have a plethora of specialists that are taking care of them to make sure they have everything that they need. Our family is reunited. We're back together. Aurora gets to sit on my lap every day at this point, and so it's fantastic for her. And like I said, I spent my first birthday with the kids this year. So fantastic, absolutely ecstatic that we are back together and excited that we're making content. So if you guys, again, if you would like to, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would help support the channel, help support our family after everything we've been through, and help us to make sure that we're continuing to give our kids the best life that we can with the conditions that they have. Mostly, they're going to be fine because we've gotten it early enough, we've caught it, and it's a mild form so we can take care of things. But really interesting here to see the connection between what we went through and some of the aspects of Jurassic Park when it comes to genetics and what genetics would cause when it comes to mutations and variables out there. So again, if you could please hit the like, share, and subscribe button, that would be fantastic. It would help support our family and help support the channel. Don't hesitate to ask your friends to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And everything helps. Everything helps the video. A like, a share, a subscribe, booking with us for your vacations. All of that does help us here at the channel. It helps me get more treats for Aurora. Helps us make sure we can get all of our kids, our kids to the medical appointments and things that they need. So anything you guys can do would absolutely be fantastic. Like, share, and subscribe. It's not that much for you, but for us, it does mean a lot. Thank you guys for watching. Christ is King, and we will check you guys out on the next video.